Hi, and welcome. I'm just having a laugh at myself because I have two cameras and I had to rearrange the camera, slide it along. So welcome. Here we are on the 22nd of October. Yeah, the 22nd to me nearly always shows up as bringing in something new, something from off planet. And certainly the energies today have that edge to them, don't they? They are big, they are intense, we're feeling them in the body, and I feel that there's also this impact, this influence on us in our physical bodies because of what's going on in the world. So pop your name in the chat and say hi Larissa. And yeah, I will get my notes out. What do I really want to say here? I'm feeling a lot of nervousness. Aloha, sweet CC. Feeling a lot of nervousness. That's really interesting. I just sort of started tuning into the Divine Masculine only a few minutes ago. Hello, Emma. Hello, Golden. So how are you all feeling? How are you feeling in your body? Where are the energies affecting you? Which chakra center is being activated right at this moment if you tune in? Hi, Stacey. Hi, Billy. So feel into your body. I have to just tell you that one of the things that Gaia said to me a couple of days ago to say to everybody was to get connected in many ways. So in all of the ways that you feel that you have in the past, to be using all of those strategies to get connected in through your crown, through your heart, through your soul, through your other chakras, through your feet, through the ground, through nature, through the stars, through all of it. Heart and sacral, heart. Super exhausted last couple of days, and then I'd finally crawl into bed and was wired. Yeah, I've heard other people speak about that too. Right ear blocked, can't hear. Oh yeah, that's awful, driving me a little bit crazy. I think a lot of people, well, it's good actually. My ear is fine today, but I've had, yeah, the odd days of it being left ear and then right ear and then gone. Bloated belly. Sadly, had to deal with drama with my family. I need to learn to pull back and stop trying to help them so much. Kia ora, Arcta girl. Arctos girl. Sorry. And hello, Pauline. Yeah, so there's some sort of common threads there, aren't there? Our hearts are really being activated and fired up, I feel. And we're on the last bits of this purification for the new. We're in incredibly supportive energies for release. It might not be that pleasant, but they, when we move through them, it's going to be amazing. And yeah, our bodies are, I think they're kind of being pulled into grand service because they're really, these energies, what I want to say about these energies, the collective kind of overarching theme is that they're opening us up. So they are opening us up in parts and in ways that we perhaps haven't been privy to, aware of, to the depth of, to the level of, and it's not comfortable. But I really feel that when we move through these, it's going to be great. In between two eclipses, Golden is saying the next one is the 28th. Yes, that's right. So these energies are very much about that, aren't they? And we've been in a lot of Libran energy, and I carry a lot of Libran energy, so I attune to those energies pretty easily. And there's a lot of that balancing, the hi, Megan. A lot of what's been mentioned. Looking forward to the end of it. Yeah, because it's like we're really in preparation for this ascension. We are, and we, I want to say, are holding the space. So we could be holding the gates open. We could be holding our hearts open. We could be creating portals through our own bodies, really, for our own ascension, for family, for the people around us. And it's perhaps because we have done a lot of work, and so we're definitely in this being affected by the collective discombobulation, kind of a lot like a lot of coat hangers in the sky. It's that, or bits of wire in the sky. It's that kind of energy. It's a bit pokey, it's a bit prickly, it's a bit unnerving, but it's all for good. It's a bit challenging to kind of come to grips with that, but that's what I believe. It's all so that we can, you know, allow some of these deeper, more held emotions to leave. And yeah, a lot to do with grief. We've been having energies that affect us, enabling us to release tears, really deep tears. I did some work with one of my biological. Well, I did work with a couple of my biological sisters actually yesterday, and yeah, this ability to really open up and to really let go of pain, and pain in the heart. That was something that came up that I could feel. And yeah, both well, yeah, both my sister and I, we had tears coming around grief as we were tuning into the death of our father. And yeah, for her, she was able to go to a place that she hadn't been before with it, and it was so moving for me to be witnessing that and to be holding space for her to have that release. So I think, yeah. So you'll, Sweet CC, you know quite a lot about astrology, hey? So she's saying not sensing it being solar or lunar, just both. Is one lunar and one solar? I'm not sure. Anna was trying to teach me some things about astrology earlier today, and I said to her, "Oh my God, just stop! I've gone into overwhelm about that." Anyway, Gaia was saying, a few days ago that for all of us to get into really good practice, because we are, sorry, I just realised I was leaning my book up against the laptop, which was jiggling the camera, because these adjustments, the making of adjustments in your life, in your body, and in your priorities needs to really come into the fore. So to be having practices in your life that enable you to attune to what's important. And we're so in the physical. Everything's happening in the physical, in our bodies, in our world, both on and off planet. And to be more inner, to be more still, to be more gentle. So I started to, in here, I'll just read what came about, the many levels of this war that's going on. So it can be perceived in many, many different ways. And I have to tell you that there's only one way that's very clear to me as the underpinning argument, if you like. But there are many aspects that are being cleared, brought to the fore in and on the way to that. So on one level, there's definitely this idea that many of the children, So we know we know that there has been evidence of children being persecuted and murdered. But I want to say that it's really very clear to me that a lot of what is being shown is not true, is not accurate, is orchestrated, is manipulated, is created drama, um, like the shooting of an advertisement or the shooting of a movie or a part of a movie. There is a lot of that going on, and I have a lot of compassion for the people, the families, the children who are being affected. They are really pawns and collateral in what is on another level an awful game that's being played out, and we are in the end of it. I want to remind you that as souls, we all make choices. So, one of the aspects of this that I really struggled with a while ago was the idea that someone would come to the earth and leave again as a child, would have some terrible ailment that would impact on them so that they were in a lot of pain and would maybe leave when they're very little, very young, or that people would be in a wheelchair, or that people would have disease that affected and impacted their lives in a whole lot of ways. And what I've come to know is that as soul, we choose to have a really, well, I believe we do. We choose to have a really broad range of experiences because that gives us strength, breadth, stretch. As a soul, it makes us bigger, more expanded, more able, um, more able to hold compassion and empathy and big picture views, and that this is just one way, one lifetime, and that's just that in this lifetime we chose whatever it is that we are being and doing now, and that soul soul isn't that baby. Well, it is that baby, but soul isn't the age of that baby, and so I remember having this big dilemma as a mother about my role as the guide, the guardian, the supporter, the protector of my own child. Kia ora, Sally. And and really having to dig deep with the idea that he may not have come here to ascend. He may have come here to have a holiday. He well, I know that my son has already ascended in another time and space. And maybe he just came here to have a holiday, or maybe he came here to have a really super human experience. And that we all come for different purpose and reasons. And it's just good to keep that in mind. So these were some of the things that came through. So it's a bit of a wide variety, really. So this war is about many levels. It could be about rescuing of children from the tunnels. So we know that there are a lot of tunnels there, and we know that a lot of explosions that have been going on around the world over the last 1 year to 18 months at least have been about that, about cleaning up that aspect of our world, the sort of subsurface, the outer of the inner earth, if you like, that strata that is close to the surface, where a lot of nefarious activity has gone on, where beings who have been here to create pain suffering for humanity and on their end of the spectrum for their own loosh, their own feeding, their own programs, and that they have stolen and that they have, well, they've done a whole lot of things. So they've stolen a lot of our children. That's their food. They have created breeding grounds underground. They have caged and incarcerated humanity underground for their experiments, etc. It's a pretty dire imagery to go into, and yeah, I know that many of you have already explored some of that, and that we don't have to redo the suffering. We just acknowledge that yes, this has gone on, and yes, we are at the end part of this, and that this will not be occurring again, and that some of this needs to be shown in order for us to rise above it in frequency. So there's been this closing down of the tunnel system so that nefarious activity cannot continue. They are everywhere around the world, under the ocean, under the ground of the ocean as well, deep tunnels. 10 kilometres is the kind of number that a lot of people who seem to be in the know about those things have spoken about, that if you're seeing any earthquakes at that depth, that's definitely a destruction of the tunnels. So there is that. We are in the gathering and collecting and exiting of those who are needing to be removed. We are fulfilling biblical prophecy. I'm not inviting you to agree with or accept or believe any of these things. In a way, I am viewing this from as many different angles as I could see it. And I'm just throwing them out there. There's this fight, a battle over resource. And so, that might be to do with water, it might be to do with oil, it might be to do with minerals. It's wider than just that region. That's a general, I don't know what the word is. Movement. It's a general movement on our planet to be gathering up resource, to be trying to steal other resource, for governments to be doing exchanges and all sorts of things around their own natural resource or their own country's resource. It could be a war over religion. It's definitely a distraction, I want to say. It's the end part of the game. And I wrote here that remember that souls choose their experience, which is what I was speaking about a moment ago, and that many souls wish to have a variety of soul experiences for soul development. That war needs to cease. We are becoming a planet of peace. Remember, we are returning to the original jewel in the galaxy. We are returning to being the intergalactic planet where beings from all around the galaxy come, and the living library. We're returning to that, and that can only happen in peace. So we are needing to, I wrote, crash the polarity of war so that there can be this recognition of the futility of it. And I believe that more and more humanity is seeing that it's obscene, that it's unnecessary, that it's orchestrated, that the idea of one being murdering, killing, shooting, executing another is totally obscene and cannot be permitted in our world. All of that. There's all of that going on, and it's all because, in my understanding of working with Gaia, we will each be awakened in the way that we chose as a soul. And there are many different ways of awakening. So at the end of the day, the major reason is all about lowering frequency from the dark end of the spectrum, from the cabal, from the deep state, whatever you might like to call it. They are wanting to hold on to their power, and they are in their demise, and it needs to be seen so that it can be shifted. So if you know that you've chosen your experiences for whatever reason, and you see that as a truth, if you knew this, if you accept this as your truth, then what do you do? What do you do? You can recognize the ridiculousness of what is going on. You can hold love in your heart, compassion in your heart, and rise up. That's your role. That's what I want to say. That's our job, is to see it, to not get into too much emotional turmoil about it, to see it, to accept that this is a part, a sad part of our evolution to the higher, and to hold compassion in your heart as you rise up above it, because it's in the rising up above it that we affect what is occurring. We are in this time of great release and purification, and a lot of tears and grief have been coming over the last few days, especially because these frequencies that have been coming in have really impacted on the physical. You know, we're in all of this happening in the physical, but they're really impacting on this ability to open up to the depths of this lifetime. It's might be more about that. We might have completed the ancient, and we might just be doing the tidy up. That's my impression. And then there's this, you know, the whole Q thing, which I don't follow and haven't followed, but I am on a thread where I get little snippets of that. Yep, little glitch there. And I do remember reading this a couple of years ago, and it stuck with me. You know how sometimes things just stick with you, and it was Israel shall be first and last. And so when I saw that this was coming about, I was reminded of that. Yeah, so the war, we need to take war to the 0 point. We need to collapse this one against the other, one person against the other, one country, one people, one race, one religion, all of the polarity, duality of one against the other. It has to be collapsed. We have to bring it to the 0 point. There's recognition that we can be in acceptance, but we're not in force against one another, with it and for it. So we are in this month of quite chaotic energy, but that is my understanding. That's its purpose. It's to provoke, it's to allow people to release more. So we're also in Libran energy, and so this is about balance and justice, and this is about relationship. And then we're moving into this time where we're really going to be given I think this next eclipse that's coming. Forgive me, I don't remember the date, but we're coming into this energy where relationships will crash and burn, as well as be revived in the new. And so it's really can feel a bit messy and a bit hard to take, but it is like that, you know, the storm before the clearing, the crash before the arisal. So these changes that are in relationships are going to happen on the macro, the micro, the inner, the outer, the planet, and us. So this is our relationship with ourself. It's this opportunity to come into balance in the masculine, feminine within ourself, in our families, it's this opportunity to come into recognizing relationships that don't serve us, that aren't a part of our new way of operating, and to allow them to go, to be working in our frequency and noticing that frequency matchups become the norm, that we're moving to this time now where currency is frequency and we're moving to a love frequency, and so this will be our connection point, and that's going to happen all the way through to governments and countries. So this is this really very observable in the physical collapse, the systematic destructuring, the dissolution. And remember how Gaia has spoken about health, government, and finance as being the three that will go. So this is what we are watching, isn't it? It's obvious now. I wanted to tell you about this weird glitch I had. Like, it was a major. I was in the bathroom and I think I was cleaning my teeth. I reached into the cabinet to get my toothpaste out. And as I did that, it's really hard to explain, but it was as though the entire unit where I was, which is this basin with a cabinet above on the wall and a cabinet underneath, and it's tucked into a corner. The whole thing moved. I'm not kidding. The whole thing moved. The corner of the wall, the basin, the cabinetry, the whole thing moved. I want to say about 400 millimeters, and it was like, zhoot. And then at that point, I put my hand on the basin. It was like being drunk, and then it zhoot, came back, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I might have written that down somewhere, but haven't come across it. But yeah, it was this. It wasn't just doot doot. It was a zhoot, zhoot, and it was enough for me to put my hand on the basin because it was this total glitch. So it was a glitch in the matrix, or a glitch in time, or a glitch somewhere. So I don't know whether any of you had that. So I want to also tell you about these things. That you may be being affected by the collective, because the collective is very wobbly, discombobulated, and because everything's more open, that we are probably being more affected. Remember, so there's a lot of uncertainty. This is the discombobulation. It's this feeling of uncertainty, and this is one of the impacts that the war has had on people. They might be leaping to past conclusions. They might be going into fear about what it could escalate to, which is what the mainstream media, and that's their job. It's their job to put people into fear, to lower frequency, to lower vibration, to get people in their corner. And they're doing a pretty good job of it. I don't watch the mainstream news, but I bet that they are doing that. So discombobulation, uncertainty, and remember, we're in this huge transformation in the physical, which comes with first this purification and release. And so you might have been having that experience. Yesterday or the day before, it's a bit too much information really, but it seems important. But my toileting was like hot, almost steaming hot, and it's back to normal again today. But I had 1 or 2 days of that, like, surprising. But this is this release so that we can transcend to the higher, and we're going to be transcending through the higher, primarily through this reconnection of DNA, which is why this purification is where it's at, you know. For a lot of you, it will be right at the squeezy point. And so that's also why we're receiving this big pushback, this opposition to that, because, you know, it's game over really, but they're scrambling. The dark end of the spectrum is attempting to interfere by slowing down ascension, by interfering with our ability to be reconnected back in our 12 strands of DNA. So this energy becoming faster and higher, a more intense and deep purification, this breaking down, this shaking up, this bringing the truth out. We've been in process with that for a while, but it's becoming more and more evident and in the public, so that it can be brought into the open, so that it can be looked at, so that it can be investigated, so that it can be purified, so it can be transformed, so it can be released, because we need to release it so we can bring in the new. So we're in the physical, and also the closer that we get to the Scorpio season, the more deep, that's my understanding, the more deep. I guess we're into Scorpio season, I don't know, ish, today-ish, tomorrow-ish. More deep, more intense for release and transformation. So there's this balance and equilibrium being affected everywhere, and it's, you know, it's having an impact in the same way, but on different aspects. So this wobbly, this impacting people in the physical, so they can let things go, so that they can let go of their old paradigms, the constructs they hold on to in their mental mind. Everything is coming up to kind of have a bit of a, a look really, inner and outer of the planet, balance and equilibrium affected everywhere. This shaking up effect assists us, even though it's very uncomfortable. You here, you know, you're aware of this, what to do. What Gaia says is hold yourself steady and be in balance. Breathe. It's simple. We know this. I'm reminding you. Breathe, hydrate, connect to nature, be in deep trust that all is well, that this is the time of transformation, which you have all been experiencing in your energetic world for quite a while now, and it's now showing up. You know, I mean, you've been experiencing this release and transformation in your energetic world for the last months or years, and now it's showing up in the physical, tangible, in your face, at your feet, right in front of you, in this tangible world, so that we can ascend to be in the creation of heaven on earth. And I'll just look here at the and I've got more. I want to speak about divine counterparts now, but I'll just check in here. A lot about Temple Mount earthly power points. Sweet CC is saying, Faith's Church in Rotorua, right on the water, has a connection to Temple Mount. Cabinet moving is maybe reacting to your Kundalini activity, Sally was saying. She's had that before. Thank you. Easter Day, Sweet CC had a bathroom mirror glitch. I recall I was doing math, lots of numbers in her mind, and blipped out. When she came back, it was 1.5 hours later than she recalled. Wow. Super sweaty and knew something weird happened. Phone rang and I was late to meet a friend at the movies. Oh yeah, there were some other things that happened around that as well. So a client I had this morning didn't show up, and I rang and she didn't answer. I texted and she didn't answer, and I think she texted back to me or rang me maybe 40 or 50 minutes later, and she had fallen asleep, hadn't woken up, and her alarm hadn't gone off. So, you know, another kind of glitch really. Also boiling hot water in my toilet until 2 weeks ago, when something blew in the solar water heater and the plumber guy fixed it, thankfully. It was so hot to sit on the loo. It's just, It's just humorous, isn't it, that we're having weird experiences that have some similar aspects to it. But remember that, you know, you are the way showers, that you are the cutters of the path, that you are more open, more down the track in your evolution than other people who are just awakening, and it's very disconcerting for them. So be in your compassion. Um, Try and be laughing with them, not at them. It can be frustrating when you have been on an awakening journey for a long time and we're still talking about awakening symptoms. Yeah, so on to, oh, and hello, Holger. If I didn't say hello to you, I saw that you'd written one of your beautiful messages. I am a messenger from Source here as example in spirit and matter to light up the new way. I am as you are. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so each of us, you know, if you think about it, I want to remind you of a few things. I want to remind you that you are a conduit of this light. I want to remind you that we are spread out all over the place and that is very challenging, and that is for purpose, and that is so that, you know, metaphorically, really, we can hold hands and stretch and join and anchor the light all around the world, and that you can do it. You are strong and powerful, and that you can sit there in your own authentic truth and know that all is well, and that we are close to the finishing line, and that this is the hard part in a lot of ways, because this is in the physical, you know. So here we are, I've been on this journey for whatever length of time we have, and we have been, oh yeah, well, that I'm feeling, yeah, I think that happened, or I know that happened, or I felt that happened. And we're in our energetic body, we're in our clear audient mind, our clairvoyant mind, our temporal experience, our cognitive experience in the sentient world. But now it's all landing in the physical, and this month, that's why it's showing up now, and it's showing up right in front of our face. And it's so that more can see it. But you have held the space for those energies. You've grounded those energetics in for the change, for the transformation that we are certainly watching around us. So in here I wrote, Dear Divine Feminine, oh, are you feeling stretched, concerned and doubtful about your connection? Or have you now transitioned through to a point of deep trust and knowing that all is well? So somewhere in there, everybody will be somewhere in that spectrum, I believe. So this knowing that all is well, that this love that you feel, which after all, it just doesn't go away, does it? It is unlike other connections where something is over and done with and dusted, and there might be pain, and there might be memories of great times, good times, and sad times, and then it gets processed through, and then that being kind of leaves the energetic field because the work is done, the lessons are learned, the karmic expressions are exchanged and ready for the healing to be completed, and then on to the new. But that doesn't happen with these connections, does it? Because there's this ongoing presence of love, of the energy in and around your space. So have you transitioned now to this place of deep trust and knowing that all is well, that this love that you feel, which after all does not go away, it's not like other connections. I want to tell you they will remember. They are remembering. They are coming. You know it. You trust it. so deeply now that you can feel the love a lot of the time without the pining, without the obsession, without the clutching, grabbing, um, longing. And that when you get to that place, you can be in that clarity of hearing telepathic messages so easily, of having conversations that are clear. And the DM, they are on their own spectrum. I believe the divine masculine is on the spectrum whereby at one end they've decided to shift, and they are in one part of the decision making that is required around that. So that might be in terms of exiting their job or their house or their relationships or their geography. And it's not that everyone will be doing all of those, but all of those are factors. And they've had a big impact through these energies where those constructs that sit in their mental mind that do not fit in a fifth dimensional frequency or world, they are coming up for revision, review, release, and that's in all of those areas and realms. And I believe that many of them have processed a lot of what is going or gone, and are doing right now are in their kind of aloneness, as in they've exited that, and many of them are now in their healing process. That they are feeling and having a lot of epiphanies and messages, that they are recognizing that they can be, and many of them are, in telepathic communication. So they're exploring that they are also exploring the feelings that they have for you, from you, if you're a divine feminine, and vice versa. So they've made this decision to shift out of what no longer is aligned for them. So anything that sits in the sort of third dimensional matrix, really, it's not, when I say the 3D world, it's that. It's not that the physicalness of the 3D world is being destroyed. It's the constructs, the systems that are. And so for them, a lot of that is going to be, for the divine masculine, a lot of that is going to be around their ways of thinking and operating, those constructs that have held them in the old ways of being, of that this is what you need to do, be, and operate with in order to be a successful masculine being in the world. And they are examining all of those and letting go the ones that don't fit with our higher way of consciousness. So, and a lot of them are strongly in that. I am showing. And they're now in this decision making of how to get to you. But it does really feel and show up to me that the pressure is off, because they've made that decision. Even if they are still in their current situation, they have made the decision to exit it, and so the pressure is off, and they're in the next part. And they're good at this. The divine masculine are amazing at planning and doing in the physical, and so that's where they're at. They're planning their approach, their steps, what they need to do in order to get there. And their nervousness comes with, are you still going to receive them, divine feminine? And what will they say when they get to you? And so for some of them, that's sitting there, are you still available? Do you still love them? And that's where their nervousness sits. But in my view, and it doesn't mean I'm correct, but always this has shown up for me as, so I have to tell you that when I first heard about this notion from a couple of friends of mine who were in this experience, I just listened, but my inside voice was, oh my God, that's ridiculous. And so I had to eat humble pie when that experience showed up for me, and I was not looking for it. It landed at me, on me, with me, to me. And I was in daily communion with Gaia at that time. And when it happened to me, I went to her and I said, "What is this? What is going on in my heart?" And I would love to share my whole story, but I've always said that I wouldn't until I had the permission of my divine masculine, and that will be when he shows up. But I can tell you that I felt like I had champagne bubbles in my heart. That was my experience. It was gold and sparkly, and it was like that. And I was like, I'd never had that experience ever. And I said to her, "What is this?" And she said, "That is," and she showed me an image of him. And just let it unfold. This will be the greatest connection, the greatest love, the greatest relationship that you have and will and can ever have. And I thought, oh yeah, cool. And in a few weeks, this will, show itself. And no, it's not been that quick. But there's been all this unfolding and all of this learning. And that will be the same for any of you that are in this connection. So I want to say that I wrote that in my view, this is a fated, I've gone all silly. A fated meeting of destiny, overseen and orchestrated by you and your divine counterpart as souls, as shared energies, as divine counterparts, overseen by the divine. But you set it up. You set up the timing. You set up the space. You set up the difference. You set up the sameness. You set up the what, where, when, and 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 I do kind of feel that the masculine is the one who has the mastery of the timing connection to the divine, and that's because we have different lessons and components of that in this connection. That the timing is, yeah, in the hands of the divine, and the divine masculine knows he will be signaled. And my sense of it is that there'll be this collective movement that's showing up more and more clearly. So, it fits hand in hand with this evolutionary ascension point for humanity, and you'll know, no doubt, that I've said that a lot. So I wish you a lot of love, and to be in connection with self, coming home to self, into your own heart and soul, an inquiry of what to do next and what to be in each moment, and to be in flow, to be in joy, to be in the moment, and to know that all is well, and that you are being in purification, so that you can be the best divine conduit of this energy to coming into divine counterpart connection, and to be bringing home, really, humanity into this next level of existence. And the timing feels very imminent to me. But yeah, thank you for joining me here, and I wish you a beautiful rest of your weekend. Yeah, and so much love to you. Just check and see for a moment if there are any more questions. If anyone's got any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll see what I might be able to do with them. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel there is too. It really showed up to me the other day when you mentioned about that as a bridge of water, as though it sits as a subset flow, if that can be imagined, like a stream. How when you for I know this from from being a surfer and from being a scuba diver, but you know how you have um, influences of streams of water that might be streaming out from an estuary or around a like a peninsula, or the outcrop of rocks. That's how it showed up to me as though it was the subset of streaming water that was super, super deep and dark blue, and it's as though it, yeah, doesn't get interfered with this deep blue streaming of water between here in New Zealand and in Hawaii. Yeah, definitely showed up like that to me. So it's really good to know that these messages relate to you. Thank you, Sally. Oh, cool. She sees it too. Thank you, sweet CC. All right. So we really are moving to a time where, we're going to be able to be a little bit more having a restful holiday celebratory feeling. And yeah, much love.